Finally, some action in space. A newly formed sunspot in that active region. Good evening, YouTube. My name is Yusuf, and you are watching my news channel. As you can see, a sunspot immediately exploded with action and produced actually an M3 flare before exiting the visible side of the solar disk, and I will show you in a moment. So this was this active region, but without sunspots. And I said, I believe in my previous video, if a sunspot forms over here, we might see some action because this looked to me immediately as an active region. And that's how I named it actually in my previous video. And it seems I have been spot on. When we look at that newly formed sunspot, it isn't the biggest one, but look at the complexity. Clearly, this sunspot has a lot of polarity mixing going on. If you look at the others, these are clearly stable sunspots with no mixing in their polarities whatsoever. This is clearly visible in this composite movie. Let me just pause that a little bit. Actually, let me play that. You can actually see all the action going on in this region and almost nothing in the other sunspots. That's because the positive and negative polarity do not mix with each other. And this is actually key to solar flaring. It doesn't matter actually how big the sunspot is. If there is no magnetic complexity, chances are it will not go higher than, say, a maximum C flare, or even not reach that at all, as we have seen in previous days. So let's take a look actually at the other. Oh, this is not good. Let me just give you the right frequency. This is 131 angstroms. Yes, this is it. So we can see actually that there are 3 solar flares. 1, 2, and the third one. Now the third one, of course, is the strongest. It is that M3 flare. Let me just, there it is. Here you can actually see the intensity of this solar flare, and there has been a CME, I think, associated with this solar flare, but I'm not really sure. On the Enlil spiral, we don't see anything, but this is probably because it hasn't been updated yet. So I expect this to be updated, and also it doesn't really show on the NASA ISWA signet. That's because it's very recent. However, we can already see, and the Space Weather Prediction Center issued a radio blackout storm level 1. If I play the movie, you will see that there are several readings, and that's because we have 3 solar flares. So I'm guessing this is the second one, and then you will actually see the biggest one is that M3 flare. And it leaves a pretty big signature on the absorption band. There it is. Let me just pause it a little bit. And here it is at its peak. You can see the frequencies, their absorption rates, and yeah, that's it, and the frequencies involved. So if you are interested in this, I will leave a link down below in the description. Also, I will leave a link of this. If you're not familiar with the scales, this time we need this one, the radio blackout scales, and you can also download the PDF format of this and just scroll down to radio blackouts, and you can actually read it's R1, minor radio blackouts. And let me just read that for you. HF radio, weak or minor degradation of HF radio communication on sunlit side of the Earth, occasional loss of radio contact, so interference, nothing really dangerous. Navigation, low frequency navigation signals degraded for brief intervals. This happens 2000 actually per cycle, and the cycle equates to 11 years, as you know or don't know. So There you have it. I will leave a link down below of the scales involved, and also of that, of this, of course, the D region absorption bands. Okay, let's move on. So let's take a look at the solar wind. I left it for the end because obviously the sunspots are now the main attraction, the main show, if I may say so. But let's take a look actually at the solar wind. Now, something that struck me: everything looks normal, but I might add a little bit to normal. For example, if we look here, I can almost trace a horizontal line, and the proton density hovers with the same values. Here it is 8 all the way for several hours. Then it dips a little bit, and you can see that same trend. I don't know how this is possible, because you can actually see it in the density, in this orange line, but also in the speed and also in the temperature. This is not normal. This is either an error, computing error, or something's going on that I don't really know of. Looking at the magnetosphere, there were some interesting things to actually see, as you will see. So the bow shock actually is close to geosynchronous orbit, and let me just show you. If I actually go, it hovers around 8, and that's pretty close. As for the reason, well, that's of course because of the solar wind, but namely the speed. Speed 500 kilometers a second, but even so, this is actually rather strange. One possible explanation, of course, is this over here, that connection with the bow shock and the conductivity involved. So let me just pause that a little bit and show you what I mean. Here we can clearly see this. When we look at the field lines, we see the same trend. There is actually an anomaly going on, and it involves, as usual, the closed field lines at the backside of our planet, which get literally blown away each time they try to reform. We can see actually the solar wind coming at a regular interval, and this could actually explain that strange reading that I'm seeing. Is the sun pulsating? Is it something else? I don't know, but clearly something is going on. And I thought I might just show this to my viewers and subscribers, of course. Okay, by now, if you haven't done already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you actually enjoyed the video, and don't forget to turn the notifications on. This way you won't miss any future content, or you will at least receive a notification when I post a video. So our last item, the earthquakes. There has been a 6.1 in the Fiji region. I do expect a little bit of spillover effect, compensation movement along the fault lines, especially on the other side of the Ring of Fire. There is still a swarm going on in Puerto Rico, and I do believe this is because of lava movement in those islands, because they have well-known volcanoes that have actually volcanic activity, ongoing volcanic activity. So, other than that, well, there's a little bit of quake activity in California, actually. This is rather interesting. Los Angeles. Let me just see where exactly. Yes, near Los Angeles. And San Francisco, of course, Sacramento, Fresno. But they're not really big ones. 3 pointers, 3 magnitude. That's not really something worth mentioning. On the other hand, I do this actually on a regular base. If I look at the 7 days all magnitudes, we can see that this side of the ring of fire is completely locked. This is not a good sign. When there will be a geomagnetic storm, the big earthquakes on this side of the ring of fire, on the left side, will of course create compensation movement. It will be in the southern part, and this will continue to add pressure to this fault line, which is already blocked. At some point it is overdue for a big one, and of course the San Andreas fault will be triggered someday, and when it does, it will be an 8 or a 9 magnitude. Make no mistake. This is it, people. Before I end this video, of course, I will cite a philosophical quote, and I do believe we arrived at, let me see, 57. Okay, I think it's 58. I never yet found pride in a noble nature, nor humility in an unworthy mind. This is so true. So if you do have a noble man, you will not find pride in him. You will find only virtues, humility, for example, compassion, etc. On the other hand, if there is a bad person with a really bad mind, you will never see a single sign of humility in that person. So there you have it. Thanks for watching this video, and I sincerely hope we see each other next time. Bye bye everyone. Take care.